We are live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about faggots.
All right. Well, I think that's the record now. Less than 10 seconds, and I already got to bleep someone for saying faggot. But yes.
Oh, brother, I am so far done with all this bullshit. Like at this juncture, you know, Fab is amazing. Fab is glorious. It make big smoke plume. If Fab decided to visit a incredible number of people on the internet, I would be fucking elated. I'm just saying. I'm beyond giving a fuck at this point in time.
Fair enough. Fab is Fab the glide bomb, or is that something else?
That's the designation that they get to give to any airdrop munition that they have, bomb wise.
So anything that comes out of an aircraft is a Fab.
Yeah, like you like missiles have their own designations, but bombs they refer to them as Fab.
Is that just the Russians, or is that like an international nomenclature for it?
No, it's just the way the Russians do it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so
yeah,
video has been
back to
video has. Sorry. What were you trying to say?
I was just saying. And anyways, back to the topic of it's Ryan Macbeth.
yeah, King himself. So a video started circulating on Twitter yesterday or late or early the night before or something like that. But the video was of a Russian soldier kneeling down in the dirt, obviously disarmed completely. The guy, honestly speaking, the guy looked like he had been blown up a couple times to begin with. Like, you just look at the disheveled look of his uniform and his skin and his hair and everything. It looked like the dude had either had some pretty close calls with a couple grenades or something. The dude looked worse for wear. Let's just say that. And the video shows from the point of view of a what's referred to as an FPV drone, or first-person view drone, in which the drone operator sits there kind of dancing around the dude for like 30 seconds and then finally detonates the fucking drone. Now, a bunch of people were screaming, "This is a war crime, this is a war crime, blah, blah, blah." Now, legally speaking, it's not a war crime. But here in the U.S., we have a fun little saying we like to say when it comes to officer-involved shootings. Lawful but awful. And that saying is so fucking just immaculate for this situation. Because, yes, while technically speaking, the guy is a combatant that hasn't officially surrendered, the guy is obviously not a fucking active combatant. Very fucking obviously. And it's just bewildering to me, the faggots that are online. And yes, I'm going to continue calling you faggots because go fuck yourself. The faggots online that want to try to argue arbitrary semantics simply because, Richard Spears was their favorite character in Band of Brothers. I really don't give a fuck at this point in time. I will advocate, no, fuck it. You know what? You want that treatment? You like that treatment? Go ahead. Fine. Cool. I hope it happens to you. And to all the GWAT bros that want to talk shit and be like, oh, this is fine, go fuck yourselves. So we already know Napo's a
I'd like to go on the record and say, just because you wear this country's uniform does not automatically entitle you to our respect and admiration.
Agreed. So, going back to something you said a minute or so earlier, what was that character you were referring to that these people think they are?
Richard Spears. No, they admire him.
Oh, what was...
So Richard Spears,
like?
Lieutenant Richard Spears, later Major Richard Spears, if I remember correctly, that was the rank he obtained before he retired from the military, was a infamous individual within the 505th Parachute Regiment of the 101st Airborne Division. As on D-Day +1, I believe. It was either D-Day +1 or D-Day +2. I don't remember exactly. But there was an incident in which then Lieutenant Richard Spears walks up to a group of German POWs and hands out cigarettes. The POWs proceed to smoke their cigarettes, and then Richard Spears proceeds to gun down the entire group of POWs. Now, the cited reason for this was because the Airborne Regiment at the time did not have the ability to take on POWs in order to transfer them to forces, to rear echelon forces, the MPs, and so on and so forth. The problem is that you're not supposed to admire that thing. It's a terrible circumstance that you're supposed to sit and think about and understand, like, yes, that was not good. That was not a good situation by any fucking metric whatsoever. Was it necessary at the time? Maybe. But it wasn't a good thing. And yet, for some reason, every time I hear some of these fuckheads speak, all I can think of is that scene from the TV series, which, by the way, this event did happen.
Oh, so it is based on a real-life incident.
Yeah, Band of Brothers depicted that scene.
Well, yes, it did happen in real life. This was literally in Normandy. Again, I believe it was D-Day +1. It might have been D-Day +2, but I'm pretty sure it was D-Day +1. Or it might have been D-Day itself, to be honest. I don't remember. Oh, yes. Now I remember. It was D-Day itself that it occurred, because the airborne forces were starting to move on the artillery positions that were supporting the German positions on the beaches. So it was D-Day. It was D-Day itself. But yes, it's really, really, really bad when I can sit and read a lot of these justifications that these people are writing, and all I can think of is that scene from that TV series. And it's like, okay, cool. So from now on, anybody who gets caught by a jihadi, I don't want to hear any bitching when the jihadis just behead them. Like, I'm sorry, that's just how I feel at this point in time. It's like, fuck it, you know what? If the rules of war are going to go bye-bye, period of the story, then fine, fuck it. Fuck the rules of war.
Mm-hmm.
And please, anybody in the comments, don't try to sell me any fucking stupid bullshit. Again, the saying lawful but awful exists for a fucking reason. And mind you, most cops that end up being in a lawful but awful situation tend not to be cops very long after the situation.
Is that because
And
they get
another thing
fired
I'd like
or
to
because they
point
tend
out-
to quit?
I'm sorry, Bart, hold on, Stoner. Bart, what were you
I
saying?
said, is that because they tend to get fired over it, or do they tend to quit?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. There's been several instances where they self-delete because they realize that they fucked up so massively, and then there's those that get fired because the department's like, hey, bud, look, you know what? You didn't do anything wrong, but we're not comfortable having you here anymore. And then there's those who, continue doing what they're doing, and then they're like, okay, I feel terrible about that situation, and then they proceed to leave the department.
Oh. So, what were you about to say, Stoner?
I was about to say that the Ukrainians and their supporters are constantly screaming that everything Ukraine does is in the right because they're fighting against an evil, wicked, invading army.
And yet, they're the ones celebrating killing unarmed men.
Indeed.
Weird.
Well, for them, they don't really care.
Oh, I know they don't. That's why It's really funny because I started referring to Ukrainians as orcs to fuck with them. And they fucking hate it.
That's no
They
fair.
fucking despise it.
I mean, orcs are cool.
Now, what kind of orcs are we talking? Are we talking Tolkien orc or are we talking Elder Scrolls orc?
Tolkien orcs are kind of are badass at least. Warcraft orcs are pretty awesome. So are Warhammer orcs.
Well, Warhammer orcs and Warcraft orcs, they're the two best orcs.
Yeah.
Because Warcraft orcs, they're very personable. They're very, down to earth, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Minus the whole demonic possession bullshit. But that happened, and they finally fought that off.
Yeah.
But the Warhammer orcs, they're literally genetically programmed weapons. Like, I can't be angry at them. Like, they're literally doing exactly what they're genetically programmed to do. So I can't be mad at them.
Mm-hmm. Either way, all much superior to any Ukrainians.
You're not going to get any disagreement on me, or any disagreement from me on that. But the point is I've been using their own words against them, and they fucking despise it. They hate it. They fucking, oh, dude. I had a Ukrainian bro fucking losing his shit in a space. Like, I want to say it was like last week, maybe the week before. Had him losing his fucking mind because I was like, because he was talking about how, I forget what the unit that he cited was, but there was a unit of Ukrainians that got absolutely fucking bushwhacked up in Sumy. And mind you, the Ukrainians are underreporting the situation in Sumy completely and utterly, which I guess I should give you guys we should go into a little bit of an update of the state of the war here in a minute. But this unit got absolutely fucking bushwhacked. And they were down to like maybe a couple platoons worth of guys at most. Like, it was an absolute fucking thrashing. And he started talking about how, it was something along the lines of, oh, the cowardly Russians, they're hiding behind their artillery, and this and that and the other, and that they're refusing to engage us man to man. And I'm like, well, at least the Russians figured out that long-range fires are how you win wars. And the dude immediately tries to clap back at me about how the Russians are retarded and don't know how to fight wars and everything. And I'm like, yeah, that's because that's totally why you're fucking losing this war, bud, because the Russians are so retarded. And, oh, man, that sent him over the edge. Dude fucking went into a tizzy so fucking hard. And it was like, yes, keep going, you little gremlin. Oh, can we call them grots? Or squigs? Ooh. A Ukrainian and a squig, they might have some genetic history.
Well, what's a squig?
Oh, the little, the fucking angry little, leather balls that the orcs have in 40K and Warhammer Fantasy and whatnot.
Oh.
Most commonly, they're used as a food source, but then, like, goblins and grots will ride them into battle and shit like that.
Fair. Does seem more apt.
Fucking squigs. Oh, Lord. But, yeah, so I guess I should actually get into a bit of the war update, because it's kind of very relevant to current situations going on in Europe and with the reconciliation bill and whatnot that we want to talk about later. So the Sumy Oblast is, given the terrain changes or the changing of terrain control that has occurred within the past 24 hours to 48 hours, I have a feeling that Sumy Oblast has been pried right open. I think the Russians literally have a gateway straight into the Sumy Oblast, and I don't see that holding very long. Like, I just don't. We're talking, the Ukrainians reluctantly acknowledged that the Russians had in fact captured, because mind you, there have been reports previously that a few areas in Sumy had fallen something like a month ago, or maybe even 2 months ago at this point in time. But the Ukrainians were not reporting on it. But then earlier this week / late last week, they reluctantly finally acknowledged that, yes, we lost these areas in Sumy. And then, I look at the fucking updates today, and the area that they've lost has expanded, quite decisively. And then, of course, you have the situation that's going on in Kharkov, which, they're still underreporting that. The situation in Donbass, they're continuously losing more and more ground in the Donbass sector. So, just overall, I'm like, you guys aren't reporting how much territory you've lost at all. I think they've lost a lot more territory than they're admitting, and they're just not reporting it. And the Russians are they're holding it close to the chest because they don't want to give away anything yet. Because the Russians, to their credit, have been pretty consistent on reporting stuff. But they're also, now they're hardcore waiting until they have established complete dominance over an area before reporting it. And so I think the Ukrainian line is definitely, it's buckled really hard, and they're just not talking about it.
Gentlemen, check this out, chat. I think the little fight we were talking about earlier has just escalated.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, hold on.
And for those wondering what we're talking about, I will be including this in the video.
Holy shit. Okay, so first and foremost, it's hilarious that Ryan McBeth, first and foremost, under U.S. law, Ryan McBeth being like, oh, this, that, and the other. Yeah, that technically would constitute an imminent threat against somebody here in the U.S. I just want to point that out. If that was somebody saying shit like that to somebody else, they could go to the cops and report it, and it would be there would be an investigation opened up. So if Ryan wants to go down that route, he can fucking go ahead and do that. That's fine. If he gets a nightstick shoved up his ass, I don't care.
He'd probably
it's
like it,
that's
honestly.
Funny. Probably. Now, I'm also going to say this in the relation to Bebo's comment there. The fact that the dude didn't have shoelaces either tells me, honestly speaking, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to find out the guy had been actually technically apprehended earlier and had just kind of been left out there. I wouldn't be surprised. They've done it before, where they'll find wounded, they'll fucking strip them down, fucking, do the whole checking for intelligence and whatnot, and they'll just leave people out. And then drone operators will fly on by and drop grenades and shit on them. They've done that before. So I wouldn't be surprised, to be completely frank. But I don't care about that. I only care that, hey, this was a shitbag move. And the more people that see it, the more people that watch that video, the more I hope that people understand, hey, that was a shitty ass fucking move on the part of the Ukrainians.
Yeah.
And you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. Honestly speaking, I'm of the position now at this point in time. I don't want a rump Ukraine. I want Ukraine to not exist. I'm of the same position with Gaza as I am with Ukraine. Because it's no, fit countries shouldn't exist.
Fair enough.
Fake borders don't need to exist. Power politics is back, bitches. Either fight or die. And, well, the Ukrainians are pretty good at dying, so I guess that. And again, if any Ukrainians want to be butthurt and whatnot by my comments, or anybody else wants to be butthurt by my comments, I really don't give a shit. I really don't. If you think I care, then, well, that's your problem. And if you want to make threats, go ahead and make threats. Hope you're not in the U.S., bud. Because I'll happily fucking call up the FBI and be like, hey, so this happened. You think I'm not petty enough to just fucking get the federal law enforcement involved? Or state law enforcement? Oh, shit. You think I'm not a petty son of a bitch? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Honestly, it would be nice if FBI showed up at Ryan Macbeth's door, just like it was funny when the FBI showed up at the Krasenstein's house. Speaking of faggots.
The supreme faggots themselves.
Indeed.
But yeah, so overall, I like the update with the war, the situation on the ground. Like the Russians are pushing, the Russians are taking lots of territory. The Ukrainians are refusing to acknowledge losses, and frankly speaking, it's like, okay, cool. And Russia, I say this with all due contempt for the piece of shit that is called the Ukraine. Please, dear God, fucking take it all. Fucking force deport all those motherfuckers into Poland or whatever. I don't care. Fucking displace their asses and get rid of them. And then let Hungary and Slovakia and all them have their bits and pieces. Because then at that point in time, we can all laugh and make jokes about, you know, Europe being a bunch of fucking faggots anyways. Speaking of Europe and faggots, Friedrich Merz. Oh, God. King faggot himself in Germany. Posturing himself as the next Führer. It's fucking hilarious. Like, the dude literally thinks, like, he's something special. He's something, like, relevant. And in reality, he's nothing more than just a bloviating dickbag who thinks shit-talking is going to get him anywhere. First off, ladies and gentlemen, they ain't handing over Taurus. They ain't handing over shit. I don't care who the fuck you are. If you think for even a second that they're going to hand over fucking nuclear-capable fucking missiles that they need to have in order to be able to fucking defend themselves against potential fucking aggression by the Russians, you're fucking retarded. That's just it. You're fucking stupid. You're retarded. And congratulations. Your room temperature IQ isn't going to save you from the fact that, guess what? The world's changing. The world doesn't give a fuck about your feelings. Hell, fucking talk to the DRC right now.
Yeah, so you don't think they're either crazy or stupid enough to hand over the Taurus missiles?
No, I don't think that they're intending to hand them over at all. I don't think for even a second. Hey, give me a second. I need to do a call in real quick. Anyways, but the simple fact is that these dumb fucks really do believe, like actually do believe, that the Germans are going to hand over their only deterrent that they have. Mind you, Germany doesn't have the same nuclear capability that the other nations do. They're almost entirely reliant on intermediate range ballistic missiles. And they think they're going to hand those over? When the Germans can barely build 5 of them a year?
It's not
hell, if I remember correctly, their standard quota is 3 a year? Like, they don't have the fucking money. They're busy propping up the rest of Europe through the Bundesbank. So they don't have the fucking cash to actually fucking push it. Like, there's a reason why they haven't been able to fucking do the whole rearmament program that they wanted to do. Because they don't have the fucking cash at all. They're too busy fucking getting yield curve controlled out the wazoo by fucking not Christy Lagarde, my bad, Ursula von der Leyen, who is currently shitting bricks because the euro is over fucking valued to the degree that now, what's that? 50% of world transactions are settled in US dollars? And the euro has fallen off even harder? Oh my God. Yeah, and people wonder why like, the Europeans are irrelevant. The Europeans are a fucking sham. They're a bunch of fake-ass countries that won't exist past the end of the century because they're all going to have to come together into one big super state just to have a chance at surviving. And guess what? The Netherlands is going to get depopulated because they're going to say, fuck it, we're forcing everybody out of the Netherlands. We're going to turn it into a gas extraction operation. Damn the fucking ecological considerations. And on top of that, we're going to start fucking forcing as many people as we can into the military in order to be able to just have a hope in hell of being able to deter the Russians from just saying, fuck it, we're just going to take you all. And that's with the potential of the U.S. and the Russians signing an alliance and saying, you know what, Europe? You're officially contained. Don't fucking leave your borders. Because if you do, we're going to kill you. Yeah, these people are a fucking joke. The Europeans can officially go fucking roll off a cliff and die, and I would not care what's so fucking ever.
Yeah. And that's even if they manage not to just be conquered by the Islamists they keep importing into their countries.
Oh, well, fuck, dude. It's hilarious because, like, I go into the Israeli spaces, right? Mm-hmm. And they keep bringing up how Europe is being invaded and shit like that. And, you know, the only comment, I'm like, good. I hope they get invaded even harder. And the Israelis freak the fuck out because they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, because fuck them. They're the reason why you guys have so many fucking problems to begin with. Like, I don't understand the Israeli obsession with Europe because it's like the Europeans are the reason why you're in the position that you are. First the Europeans borrow your money and expel you. Then, when finally the age changes and you're allowed to come back into these nations in any meaningful fucking way. Oh, by the way, the Holy Roman Empire was a fucking, like, horrendously good thing for the fucking Jews, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. It's really funny, you know. The Holy Roman Empire, this fucking broken apart fucking piece of shit that would eventually become Germany, was actually one of the best situations for the fucking Jews ever. Because, oh, by the way, why was the Jewish population in Germany so fucking large to begin with? Because it was a safe haven. Mm-hmm. And then the dumbasses, you know, seeing the writing on the wall, didn't fucking try to get the fuck out as fast as they could when the fucking Nazis came around. It's like I'm sorry, like, that's a little callous of me, but at the same time, the writing was on the fucking wall, people. Like, as soon as Mein Kampf got published, y'all motherfuckers should have been like, yep, we're moving. And it's really funny because Spain would have been Spain and Portugal would have been two of the best places for them to flee to. But for some reason, all of them tried to flee to the U.S., and it's like, yeah, of course a bunch of you got fucking told, no, you're not allowed to come. Because there were so many people fleeing Europe at the time. And actually, real funny thing, real quick, if you guys don't know, there's a massive Jewish population in, I believe it's Chile. It's either Chile or Peru because of the 1930s. The people that tried to flee to the U.S. couldn't get into the U.S., so they went down into South America.
Similar reasons to why there's a massive German population in Argentina from the 40s.
Yes.
Similar, but also different.
Similar. Yeah. Very similar. Don't ask the German Argentinian what her grandpa was doing between 1933 and 1945.
Yes. Yes. Don't ask him about her grandfather's oddly shaped mustache.
Oh man, it's actually really funny because if like Halsey heard half the jokes we crack in these fucking podcasts, he'd be fucking rolling. I think Halsey would really enjoy these jokes. Mm-hmm. It's really funny how the Jew who got me to start interacting with Jews is the cool Jew.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them are just a bunch of weird motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really funny. Okay, so real quick, just a little aside, real fast. So, and this is for everybody. If you want to learn about Jews and actually get like acquainted with them and actually start to try to understand them a little bit, check out Halsey English. Great dude, great person. Love his content. He's just an awesome dude in general. And he really did actually get me, okay, you know, back when this whole Gaza thing first started, I looked at the shit that was going on and I'm like, okay, I've always had a weird feeling about Jews. And what it was is that I just didn't know enough about them. So I didn't really have an opinion that I could put out there. And it was like, okay, I just think they're weird people. Now, yes, they are in fact weird people, but you know, that's the whole kosher thing. If you get into that, understand kosher, you'll realize that Jews are just weird. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, after I started interacting with them and I started understanding like where their mindset was and how they were thinking about things and this and that and the other, and it was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Thank you for the context. Y'all still weird. Love you, but you're weird. And again, it comes down to like I got into an argument the other day with a Jewish woman. She lives in DC, so not Israeli, but she lives in DC. Me and her got into an argument a little bit, and it wasn't like a bad argument. It was just like a disagreement of viewpoints. How she thinks it's weird that I learned how to kill and dress an animal at the age of 10. And I'm like, I was a city boy that grew up on a farm. Like, it was just something I got to learn, and I'm happy I learned it because it got me interested in so many other things that I'm interested in. So, and I also got a bit of a green thumb from it as well because my mom also taught me gardening and other stuff like that. So, what do you want me to do? And she thinks this is bad, by the way. Yeah, she thinks it's bad that I learned how to do that at the age of 10. And I'm like, welcome to America.
Yeah, I don't see very many Jewish mothers having their children killing animals at 10 years old. Doesn't seem like a very Jewish thing.
It's because of the whole kosher thing. Because the butchers have to prepare the meat in specific ways to be kosher. So it's like, okay, whatever, weird. Just let me have the steak. Mm-hmm. Anyways, getting back on topic. What you end up having is, just in general, you know, Europe is the bad guy of the story, and nobody wants to talk about it. And what you find very quickly is that the people who don't want to talk about it are split into three different distinct groups. One, you have the group that, you know, Eurocentric thinking is the only thing they have, i.e. the Wignats. They literally the only thing that they have. Their whole entire personality is Eurocentrism. And then you have the second group, which is the people who benefit from the current world order where Europe has the reins and they're freaking out because Europe is falling apart and the US is kind of displacing Europe right now and it's a big deal. And then the third group, and the oddest of them all, are the colonial nations. You know, what we refer to as the Commonwealth nations, or the African nations that are still very tied to France, and so on and so forth. And these three different groups are presenting a fucking problem for the rest of the world where the narrative of Europe good, everybody else bad is preventing us from fucking moving forward. And it's just, it's so fucking demonstrous. And it's like, holy shit.
Are you thinking, when you say specifically the African colonies of places like France, are you referring to any, like, which countries specifically are you referring to that are acting like that? Because I mean, basically all of Africa was that at one point. So but I'm assuming you're not talking about all of it.
There are a few nations that have kind of gotten out from under it. But there's actually a fun little situation with the DRC, and I'll get into that here in a second. But like countries like Ghana and Senegal and to a degree Nigeria, but Nigeria's not as bad off. But there's several key nations in Africa that they are still beholden to the colonial mindset, and they're never going to be free at this point in time because they're always going to be locked into that mindset. This is what makes places like Burkina Faso and Niger and Mali so dangerous for the French control of the region, because now you have these three big nations that have a good solid population of people. And mind you, what's the one common factor, like the one common threat that all three of these nations are facing right now?
What?
Islamic extremists.
Right.
That's their main threat. Otherwise, like, internally, they're pretty stable. Internally, they don't have as much ethnic tension as places like the DRC, for example. And it's just overall, like, if they can just get out from under the bullshit, they're going to be pretty well off overall. Hell, Mali is a tribal nation, but it's a modern tribal nation. The tribes kind of just work together. And the only time that they have problems is when the Muslims start pitching a fit. Burkina Faso, it's got a few different ethnic groups, but those ethnic groups tend to kind of just work together. Same thing in Niger. Again, the only common problem they have, this isn't like the DRC where you have, like 50 different groups of Africans that, half of them fucking hate the other half, basically. It's actually really funny. You have the situation of Rwanda, for example. Are you guys at all up to date on what is currently happening with Rwanda and the DRC?
Somewhat. I'm at least as up to date as what we discussed on the last time we discussed this. So a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. So
any new developments?
Hey, give me a second. Sorry, I was like, what the fuck is that noise? We have a desk phone in the guard shack that we never fucking use. And so I was like, what the fuck is that noise that I'm hearing? And then I realized it was the desk phone. I'm like, oh my god. It awakens.
Nice.
All right, hold on. Here, give me a second to finish, because I had food earlier that I hadn't finished yet. So let me finish this real quick. All right, sorry about that.
No worries.
All right, so what you end up having as a continuation of what we spoke about last time, Rwanda is assisting a Tutsi militia in the DRC called M23.
Yeah.
And they're expanding overall Tutsi control of North Kivu, and they're slowly spreading into South Kivu. Now, since everything kind of went down the way it did, we have since seen a somewhat stabilization, but it's more of a preparatory stabilization. You've got plenty of players that are interested in this potential. You know, you've got people who are interested in the material wealth. They're interested in the ethnic divide, so on and so forth. Now, what is interesting is that, you know, covering the whole Eurocentric behavior, one of the main things that the DRC is using to confirm its legitimacy is the 1885 Berlin Conference.
Really? That seems like
Yep.
an odd thing for African nations to use. Like, that seems like an odd thing for them to be citing.
Well, particularly odd because this was the same conference that established colonial control over Africa.
Exactly.
And yet, they're using it to establish their legitimacy as a nation within their borders. And yet, ethnically speaking, the DRC, for example, could be split up into roughly about 3 or 4 nations. Just about. But the point is that we're talking, you know, Rwanda, if Rwanda takes the Tutsi territory in DRC, they could probably triple, maybe even quadruple in size. Overall capabilities remaining very similar. They're not going to have to stretch their forces too thin because they already have, like, a lot of people don't understand this. Rwanda, if I had to pick, you know, countries, say I had to spend a year in Africa, what countries would I pick? The first one I pick is Tunisia, because I'll go hang out with my dude Aveen, and just hang out in Tunisia and get to meet a bunch of hot Tunisian women. My next choice would be Rwanda, because it's probably the most stable nation in the entire continent, to be completely honest. So it's kind of just one of those situations where you have this small nation that militarily outcompetes fucking everybody. And they're just steamrolling the fuck out of the DRC. Mind you, the same DRC that has like 50 times the population and like 50 times the military and so on and so forth. But the quality and the overall quantity of forces that the Rwandans have at their disposal means that they are punching well above their fucking weight. Now, yes, okay, cool. I can hear the moralists now, like, oh, but all the atrocities committed, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Okay, first off, welcome to war. Atrocities are going to happen. I call them out. M23 is a bunch of fucking barbaric bastards. The Rwandan military, however, well, they're doing just fine. The Rwandan military ain't participating in any bullshit. They're moving in and taking control and establishing dominance in areas to maintain control of the land. And me, I'm sitting here like, nah, they're doing exactly what they need to be doing. And mind you, the Rwandans are punishing of atrocity, or they're punishing atrocities by their forces very harshly. So M23, just giving you a little heads up, you might want to tone it down a little bit because Kigali might just might get rid of you later. Just saying. But it's just amazing to me to watch the situation play out the way it is. And mind you, a bunch of people have, you know, moralized that, you know, oh, this is, you know, as bad as the first Congo War and the second Congo War and yada, yada, yada. And it's all that. And it's like, welcome to power politics. Borders are going to be changing across the board. The U.S. is going to take Canada in some form or fashion. The Russians are going to reestablish their key borders as well. The fucking Chinese are probably going to lose control of Tibet and a few other places because there's going to be outsized fucking revolts that they can't get a handle on because like, I just want to say this right now. If you think the Communist Party in China, I almost said Canada, by the way. If you think that the Communist Party in China is in full control of their country, think again. Not even fucking close. Like, it's bad. But at the end of the fucking day, like hell, here in the U.S., we're talking about the Democrats potentially disappearing after 2028 as a party. Like, the only option they have is putting up the big booty Latina. The only possibility. And who are they going to fucking pick as a vice president? Tim Walz again? Okay, cool. Please do that again. I would love to watch Marco Rubio fucking just run him across the fucking stage.
Yeah.
And mind you, JD Vance would run fucking AOC out of town. Like, it would be hilarious to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is that power politics are fucking bad, and borders are going to be changing. Hell, I have a good feeling on a personal level that we might see an African federation between Niger, Burkina Faso, and fucking Mali. Because at this point in time, I'm like, nah, like these players, if they stick together and they keep working it and they keep pushing, they're going to benefit in the long run in ways that they'll never have to worry about bullshit ever again. Who's going to challenge them? You know, it's like, oh, hey, the U.S. is not, you think the U.S. isn't going to sell them fucking shit? The U.S. is probably looking at the situation in Western Africa with licking its lips, being like, if we pull back, give them their autonomy, and then be like, hey, bud, you want some F-16? Want some Abrams? Want some of this? Want some of that? You think damn well the fucking that those three nations wouldn't be like, yes, sir, we'll have another. You're out of your goddamn mind if you think differently.
Mm-hmm.
And then the French are going to be shitting bricks. Like, oh shit, oh fuck, oh god, oh shit. The fucking Africans are on par with us military-wise. So, again, I don't think people are truly appreciating how bad this situation is for Europe, and I'm loving it.
African nations with F-16s? Then where will France get its uranium from? Also, seems Stoner had a comment in... he tagged you in.
Yes, I saw that. Don't forget that about 74 million Americans still support the Democratic Party as it currently stands. I wouldn't discount them so flippantly. Okay, so let me explain the situation that the Democrats are currently in. Just so people can fully grasp what I mean when I say we could see the Democrats disappear after 2028. The Democrats do not have a strong cadre. Their strong cadre disappeared after the 1990s. Obama, if you actually kind of look into it a little bit and actually understand where Obama comes from and who he is nothing more than the Socialist Democrats' darling. The problem is he ran his horse, and they thought, and this was their mindset, they thought that they were going to be able to pass all the bullshit, which they did, and that we were just going to roll over and die, which is why Hillary Clinton was brought in as the next option, because Hillary Clinton would be the death knell. Hillary Clinton would come in, she would give some stuff to the Social Democrats, she would give some stuff to the Blue Dogs, she would do her thing as a loyalist, and then at that point in time, the U.S. would be basically beholden to Europe for all time. Basically, secure the Federal Reserve so that no matter what, the euro would survive in perpetuity.
Yeah.
The problem is that they didn't fucking see Donald Trump coming. Because they thought that Donald Trump was just a joke. They thought that there's no way he can win. The problem is that the people themselves aren't fucking lying down and dying. We voted. We voted in spades and said, go fuck yourself, you little witch, and take your fucking socialist Democrat bitch with you. And then Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell, at the time, the head of the New York Fed, comes in as Fed chairman. He installs his dude, I forget his name off the top of my head, as the head of the New York Fed. They take his dude's fucking idea, SOFR, the secured overnight financing rate. They take that off the shelf or rush it off. Mind you, SOFR had been in existence as an idea since 2006. Obama is the reason why it never got off the ground. Obama tried to kill it. But the Fed just put it on the shelf, tucked it behind a few books, and said, we'll come back to that later. They thought they had it on lock. They thought that they had it on fucking lock across the board. And then Jerome Powell and his boys went to work. SOFR comes into play. Disconnects the U.S. away from Europe financially. Monetarily, I should say. Monetarily, we're disconnected from Europe. Okay, now we need to win the next election in order to fix the fiscal side of things. Oops. Okay, we kind of dropped the ball. Biden gets in office, interrupting Trump's second term. But this is a good thing. The silver lining of Biden coming in and interrupting Trump's first term, like he did, was it allowed people who were close to Trump that didn't have his ear at the time to pull him aside and say, hey, brother, there are a bunch of vipers in the pit, and we need to get rid of them because they're fucking you up. And then they clean house, they get rid of his fucking bitch of a daughter and her fucking husband, because I don't care who the fuck you are. Jared fucking Kushner can go fucking suck my balls. Ivanka Trump can go suck my nuts. Period, in the fucking story. Now, because, oh, by the way, Jared Kushner, per my understanding, was actually, like, instrumental in getting certain people installed. Like, he was one of the main guys that pushed Bolton, by the way. If you didn't know that.
I did not.
I found that out later. Him and Mike, what's his last name?
Pompeo?
Pompeo, yes, thank you. Him and Mike Pompeo were two of the biggest proponents of Bolton. And we already knew who Bolton was, and we thought it was insane that he brought him in.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Trump was listening to his close confidants. Well, turned out some of your close confidants were stabbing you in the back. Yeah. Now, then Trump cleans house, reorganizes his cabinet, starts building a cadre, and next thing you know, here comes 2024. Biden had tried desperately to get rid of Jerome Powell. He tried desperately to get rid of SOFR. Couldn't do it. SOFR goes into full effect. LIBOR crashes out. LIBOR then fucking sputters its last gasps in March. And what do you know? The U.S. economy is fine. The U.S. economy is doing perfectly fine. The monetary system is holding up. Oh my God. And wait, the Fed's pulling in record profits. Holy shit. Maybe we're better off than we were under Obama. And by the way, for anybody who doubts it, Obama's third term, aka Biden, we basically have all the proof that we now have that Biden wasn't the president.
No.
He was a steward. He wasn't president. The people around him were president. And one of those people happened to include Elizabeth fucking Warren, who the fucking, Pocahontas herself is currently, per my understanding, under federal investigation for some distinct malfeasance over at the Consumer Protections, whatever the fuck it is. Just gonna say it. Elizabeth Warren is going to jail. It's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be fantastic.
Yep.
Because Massachusetts, you're gonna have her constituents are gonna lose their fucking minds. Massachusetts is gonna burn. And then the other people in Massachusetts are gonna be like, oh, thank fucking God they got rid of that bitch.
Yeah. And then all the people who, for the last 2 years, every time they indicted Trump, kept saying nobody is above the law, are going to scream bloody murder about they're arresting a senator.
Yep. And when the trial happens, oh Lord, they need to live stream that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a federal court. There's no way they're gonna let us have that. But oh my God, the corruption charges are gonna be so high. She's going to jail. She will die in jail, and it's gonna be so delicious.
Yeah.
Wouldn't this all just be considered too little, too late? Because the damage that these people have done is already taken root.
No. That's the thing. It hasn't. The damage that they've done is surface level shit. See, this is what pisses me off about the situation, and this is actually a great segue into the reconciliation bill, to be honest. That's what pisses me off about the bullshit that fucking Thomas Massey and fucking Rand Paul keep talking. Because they keep talking about, oh, this is just going to raise the national debt. This is just going to cause more inflation. This is going to do this. It's going to do that. And it's like, you dumb motherfuckers clearly don't understand that the reports that you were fed on the committees were fucking fabricated. I believe it's the CBI report, if I remember correctly. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Congressional Budget Office.
CBO. Yes, thank you. CBO. The CBO report didn't take into account all the new revenue streams that we've generated over the past fucking 6 months. Or 4 months, sorry. It didn't take any of that into account. So now we're sitting here and they're projecting, oh, it's going to put the deficit at $4 trillion. No, it's not. And somebody was running the numbers on the side and came forward and said, actually, no, the deficit's only going to go up about half a trillion. $500 billion deficit versus $4 trillion. That's a big fucking deal. The point, Stoner, and this is what I hate about the discussion involving this shit, is that why in the hell would you believe the numbers now versus not believing the numbers fucking 10 years ago? We all thought they were lying to begin with, so why are people believing them now? Rand Paul and Thomas Massey should know better. Or maybe, just maybe, they're a bunch of soapbox fucking preachers that need to get fucking... Never mind, I'm not going to go that far. Never mind.
Well, speaking of Congress, haven't they also... Yeah, well, speaking of Congress, have they also chosen to not take the Doge recommended cuts into account and cut a lot of this wasteful spending that they've uncovered so far this year?
Okay, so I would like to explain that. Yes, they have elected not to do that. But here's the point. Is that that's not part of the reconciliation process. The reconciliation process, the money's already been earmarked. They're just divvying up the money. That's all that's happening. The money's already been earmarked. They're just agreeing on how it's spent. What you're referring to is the rescission process.
Yes.
Which happens after the reconciliation process. The rescission process is where the Doge cuts would come into play.
Yes, and that requires Trump to first submit a letter of rescission to Congress. They don't do it on their own. He has to submit a letter asking them to rescind all this shit, and then they vote.
And by the way, what a lot of people haven't picked up on, and Thomas Massie and Rand Paul haven't fucking picked up on it, apparently, because they're both fucking retarded, is that those letters are waiting in the wings. They're ready to go out. They're going to hit they're going to hit the Senate committees it's going to be a landslide of envelopes. Let's just put it that way. And the whole point is that until the reconciliation process is complete, the rescission process can't happen. That's the reason why they're fighting the bill so hard. Because they can't do rescission without reconciliation. That's the whole point. That's the process. That's how it works. So yes, the Doge cuts can't come in until after reconciliation. Thomas Massie and Rand Paul are just lying to people. Like that's what it is. They're lying to people. They're standing on their soapbox like a bunch of street preachers, acting as if the world is ending, when in reality, oh, hey, my snow cone went up 3 cents. Oh, my haircut went up $1. They're freaking out about ancillary, pathetic bullshit, when in reality, we're sitting here and we could save a shit ton of money and have our fucking tax cuts on top of it. But because the tax cut or because the savings aren't included in the bill, aren't included in the reconciliation, they won't do it. Because they're fucking retarded. Okay, real quick. I need to go do trucks real fast. So I'm going to go do that.
All right.
So let's just pause it here for a second, and we'll pick back up when I'm done. And I'm not being a dick, Stoner. I am being a little dramatic for flair.
Hey, I understand it. I appreciate you taking the time to make this understandable, not only to me, but for anyone that will listen to the podcast later on. And also, Dale, I told Rowan that you said you would call her after the show.
All right. And also, one other thing, to go back to what you were saying earlier, Stoner, when you were saying about how the Democrats are still, like, 74 million people still support them, so maybe they're not, like, perhaps they're still a threat. So there's something I'm not sure if either of you know, but the 2030 census is coming soon, and after the 2030 census happens, the Democrats as a party are going to be fucked for decades to come. Like, I'm not assuming, or to explain to anyone who might not know why this is or how this process works. Every 10 years, there's a census, to count how many people are in the U.S. and where they are. And what happens as a result of that census is House seats and electoral college votes are allocated. Sometimes states lose seats, sometimes states gain seats, and thus gain votes in the electoral college, as the electoral college is, if I'm correct, it's all the House seats plus the 2 Senate seats. So,
yep.
What is happening in the 2030 census? Well, here are the states that lose seats. The one that loses the biggest amount of seats, loses several seats, California. Next, second largest loss of seats, New York. Then, the other seats that are lost, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Chicago, not Chicago, Illinois, and Oregon. Now,
Chicago, Illinois, when it comes to votes, is irrelevant.
Now, who gains the most seats? Texas. Who gains the second most seats? Florida. Who gain seats as well, but not as much as Texas or Florida? North Carolina, Arizona, Utah, and Wyoming. So,
and I want to point something out in regards to those states. Mm-hmm. Notice how those are the states that have implemented massive tax reform within the past 5 to 6 years.
Yes. So what and how this is going to look for the Electoral College, you know how over the past several elections, it's often come down to the states known as the blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Republicans don't need those anymore. They can, if after 2032 and onward, if Trump or whoever runs loses all three of those states, and only gets the other states Trump won in 2016. So also not counting Nevada, which he won in 24, they still win. So basically, so long as they manage to hold Georgia and Arizona, there's not going to be any Democrats winning state federal or there's not going to be any Democrats winning the presidency for a long time to come.
And on top of that, that also means that they will have less overall representation in the Congress, which will then lead to radical fucking changes across the board. Mm-hmm. Let me put it this way as well. I keep saying, and people keep fucking pushing back on me, but 2026, the midterms, will be determined by who is willing to back repealing income tax. Mm-hmm. People who are not willing to get rid of income tax will not be winning their elections. And if they don't vote in favor of repealing income tax, which remember, if 2/3 of Congress get together and say, we're doing this, an amendment can be gotten rid of. Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way,
I hope they get rid of the 19th Amendment.
Based.
Oh, the 19th Amendment isn't my concern. My concern is the 17th and the 16th Amendments. But hey, that's me.
Remind me, what were those?
That's the act. That's the amendments establishing income tax and the Federal Reserve, which keep the Federal Reserve, get rid of the income tax. And then the other one is establishing the popular vote for senators.
Yeah, that one definitely needs to go.
That one fucked us more than the 19th. The 19th, I just want to point this out. The 19th Amendment was so inconsequential for elections, and yet people fucking don't understand, how bad the 16th Amendment was.
I've been a smart ass, by the way.
No, I understand. I get it. But at the same time, there are people who literally think that. And it's you're retarded. You're stupid. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, that tends to happen in a country where you let everybody that's a citizen vote.
Well, that's the point, though, is that everybody who is a citizen should vote.
I don't know about that. If you're stupid and also ignorant, I don't think you should vote. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, you probably shouldn't vote.
Yes, but then
Exactly.
they're failing their fucking duty. So,
Well, I think if you're stupid and don't know anything, I think you're, actively harming the country by voting. If you vote for the bad candidate because you're stupid, then it's probably your duty not to vote.
but here's the problem though, is that you can say that, but then imagine the number of people, like, let's be honest. Imagine the dumbest person that you know, and then realize that that person is the average stupid person.
Yes.
There are people that are dumber than him. But the problem is that the amount of stupid people is pretty even. It's pretty proportional for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Objectively speaking, there are plenty of dummies on the right and the left.
Yeah.
But no, the point is that if you're a citizen, you should fucking vote, and you should do what you need to do in order to make sure you're making the best informed fucking decision possible. Now, if you're just a fucking ideologue and you're just a shit fucking human being, then guess what? We should fucking get rid of you. But I'm also not, completely sold on, getting rid of stupid people. But you know what? I could be convinced.
I just want to put it this way. I don't advocate doing anything bad to the dummies, but I do advocate for the removal of caution labels and warning stickers.
Hey, all I gotta say is that, Ontario, turning it into an open air prison camp would be a really good idea.
Oh yeah, escape from New York vibes. I like it.
Honestly,
Hey, I
with
also
how
have
Ontario
some-
is now, it would be closer to Escape from New Delhi.
But I also do have one thing that I want to ask though,
Yeah.
before we start recording again. Going back to that little comment Bart ass made to Bebo, wouldn't that be considered a threat to dox him? And isn't doxing against Twitter terms of service?
Honestly speaking, I wouldn't be opposed to just brigading the shit out of Ryan Macbeth, but that's just me.
Yes.
Do what out of him?
Huh?
Brigading.
Good.
So, isn't that where you send a bunch of people to, shit talk them all at once?
That, and you also mass report him,
Ah, yes.
and then eventually the reports will become so extreme that the system will automatically just suspend the account.
Right.
You know what? That's what we ought to do. We ought to do that. Here, let me go post a link to that little...
Here's the fun part. Okay, don't actually do it because it can blow back on us. But here's the point.
How can it blow back on us? It's not like he know we done it.
No, here's the ironic part. No, because Twitter knows we did it. And then they start looking at the reports and realize, oh, these guys did this on purpose to get him suspended, and then they suspend us. But here's the point. It's really ironic how the Russians seem to not brigade Ukrainians, but the Ukrainians and their supporters are very much okay with brigading the Russians. It's really ironic.
Indeed.
It's almost like the Russians, the whole idea that, oh, it's just a bunch of Russian bots. I'm starting to doubt that quite a bit.
Yeah, me too.
No, actually, it's really funny. There's somebody doing an investigation. I heard about this from somebody else. Supposedly somebody is doing an investigation into NAPO. And what they found is that there's a high probability that NAFO itself, as a organization, as a unit, is potentially a very small number of people overall.
Makes sense.
That are running a large number of accounts.
Right.
Because the guy who designs the NAFO profile pictures, he was caught basically admitting that NAFO is a lot smarter or a lot smaller than people realize in a private conversation that he was having with somebody that was getting recorded. And at the same time, there was a very strange situation that occurred with NAFO, where you guys remember right after USAID
Oh yeah,
got shut down.
And then all the NAFO accounts went quiet for some time.
Yeah, they went quiet for like what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
I wonder. Awfully strange coincidence, huh?
Just a bit. But then you look into it a little more. Well, you look into it a little more, and you start realizing that the NAFO counts. Somebody did some IP tracing, which, by the way, do not try to do IP tracing because it can come back on you if you don't do it right.
Yes.
But a guy did some IP tracing on NAFO, and what he found is it's really ironic that a lot of the accounts and the IPs that are associated with come from a lot in the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Belgium. Like a disproportionate number. And
those are big NATO countries.
Well, not necessarily. It's almost as if you look into those three countries, there are large businesses in those countries that specialize in
astroturfing,
market. What's the term? Market analysis. And one of the things that a lot of people don't know about market analysis is that they will astroturf certain things to do with the markets to see what a public response would be. So it's really weird that a lot of these IPs are coming out of countries with companies that are known for doing this, that have the infrastructure to manage and manipulate large numbers of public-facing accounts capable of projecting specific narratives. I'm not saying, it's an absolute, but I'm saying there's potentials.
Yeah.
I also point out that Luxembourg is it's known as Hacker Central. Like a lot of fucking hacking groups are known to be based in Luxembourg because they do work for NATO. It's really fun. It's actually really funny. Like a lot of people talk shit about Belarusians, like how there's a shit ton of people that live in Belarus that do hacking and whatnot for the Russians, and yet the same thing is for NATO, but they all live in Luxembourg. It's like, I'm just saying. Oh, weird. I gotta go home. I gotta cook curry tonight. I don't want to cook curry, but I'm going to cook curry. I'm doing egg curry tonight.
Interesting.
Yeah, tonight we had full pork. Yeah.
Pretty good. I'm guessing it's just because it's a little warmer out, but most of the trucks are holding around 40.
but there was like 3 or 4 of them that were holding around 40. But otherwise, freezers were looking good. So
yeah, in general, the whole reconciliation process and the whole situation that we have with, Thomas Massey and Rand Paul being a bunch of fucking salty bitches. It's like I just seriously cannot, like, I used to have respect for these two men, and now I'm just like, no, you're just a bunch of fucking whiny bitches. Please, just go away. Just go away. Go home. Go home to your families. Get out of fucking politics and fucking just disappear. Because clearly you are not mature enough to fucking handle the situation. Especially because the American people are relying on you. Like, we're looking at a potential in these 2 years, seeing somewhat close to a 5% decrease in income taxes in this nation. And then after 2026, seeing the elimination of income tax. I'm sorry, that's a bigger fucking deal than your fucking little deficit. Go fuck yourself. Because I'm sorry, the American people are fucking struggling right now. Like, on a personal level, if I had an extra fucking, $150, $200 every fucking paycheck, depending on how many fucking hours I work, that would save my bacon on many fucking levels. So, I'm sorry, go fuck yourself. And I guess that's one of the key things that has really got my fucking panties in a bunch, is the fact that me personally, I'm looking at this and I'm looking at my financial numbers and I'm like, hey, jackasses, like, I could use some help right now. Can you please fucking not? So, is what it is, I guess. And Stoner, I kind of want to go over that map. You see, here's the problem with that map. Look at the places where their strongholds are. And notice how none of their strongholds are dark blue. They have tacit control of those areas. Like, here's the point.
When you say dark blue, do you mean like you're saying that the map is like the darker, that means the more the Dem vote was?
Yeah, so what that is...
So you're misunderstanding. This is a map... So light blue indicates seats that were won. Dark blue indicates Democrat seats that were won from Republicans, and vice versa. So if you see a dark red seat, that means a Republican won against an incumbent Democrat. What the map is showing is that there are no Democrats who won against incumbent Republicans. It's not a map of support. It's a map of what changed.
Okay, well, okay. So, I thank you for explaining that, because without the context, I thought that was just a general, like, election support map. Okay, so, but here's the point, and my point still is valid. Look at an election map, and then notice how there are so few blue strongholds and lean blue areas. Just think about that. You have so few places that they actually are electorally sound. And hell, just look at that map. Look how many places they fucking lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, but at the end of the fucking day, they're not viable anymore.
Also,
and
Stoner,
the big booty Latinas ain't gonna save them.
Yeah. Do you know
we're deporting the majority of them.
Yeah. So, Stoner, do you know what year that map was from? I don't think it looks like the 2024 one, but maybe it is.
It is.
Oh, all right. So it's the 2024 congressional elections, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Presidential.
Oh, presidential? Oh, so it's presidential by county.
No, that's presidential by district.
Oh.
So, okay. whatever. The point is, my point still stands. Like, they are only viable in their strongholds, and even their strongholds are faltering because people are sick and tired of how bad things are getting. Like, let's look at fucking Vermont. Vermont is a fucking blue stronghold, and yet they faltered in the fucking election. They faltered hard because people are sick. Burlington's a fucking shit show. Philadelphia's a shit show. They lost Pennsylvania because of how bad things had gotten. The number of people that came out and voted in fucking Pennsylvania was fucking absurd. And people are sick and tired of the shit that's going on. And it's just going to progressively get worse in these areas while it gets better in our areas.
Yep.
Like, look at Florida right now. Florida is steaming. Florida has so much fucking money, they don't know what to do with.
Yeah. Basically, all the rich and or useful people who could left those terrible blue states and either moved to Texas, Florida, or Georgia, or occasionally Arizona.
But that's the thing, though, is what do all those places have in common? They got rid. They either axed their fucking income taxes years ago.
Yep.
They either, and if they didn't get rid of them, they severely reduced them within the past 6 years, because income tax became a massive talking point. It became a massive fucking issue for people, because people are sick and tired of having their fucking labor taxed. You can tax goods all you fucking want, but when you start taxing people, that's what we call slavery.
Mm-hmm.
It's just called wage slavery.
Yes.
That's the thing. That's why we've had an uptick in people being destitute, because they don't want to fucking make enough money to have to pay the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why there are people that literally go out of their way to hold a job for a certain amount of time. They file their tax return at the end of the year. They made underneath the bracket, the 0% bracket, and then they apply for a bunch of government subsidies. That's why those people exist, because they purposefully make as little money as possible in order to be able to actually not get taxed at all. And when you make so little money, then you are eligible for massive subsidies, which then at that point in time, you're like, oh, fuck it.
Yeah.
There's a reason, like, on a serious fucking level, there's a reason why the welfare state is a problem, because it's incentivizing people not to work.
Perverse incentives, also known as the Cobra effect.
Yep.
One funny little
And-
story.
And on top of that, part of that whole situation is the income tax, because if you're going to tax people's labor, then at that point in time, they just don't work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know a guy, seriously, I know a dude who bought an RV. It was, El Cheapo fucking Winnebago style RV that he bought fucking 10 years ago or something like that. He drives around fucking the Midwest finding odd jobs that he can fucking do for 2 or 3 months. Usually he just does seasonal fucking landscaping. That's usually what he does. And the guy just fucking rides on fucking $10,000 a year, lives in his fucking RV, and just parks up wherever the fuck he wants. He spends most of his time just fishing and fucking doing other shit that he wants to do.
Very nice.
And that guy he's incentivized to live like that because of the fucking taxes.
Yep.
You want to talk about why women are so incentivized to go participate in fucking OnlyFans and shit like that? Because they make so much fucking money, the taxes don't matter. And then they can live whatever fucking lifestyle they want. Mm-hmm. And like people don't understand that taxing labor is an exact correlation of this bullshit.
Yep.
And you know why why income tax became such a big deal, why they needed income tax as badly as they could?
Wasn't it because of the war?
No.
No.
The whole purpose of income tax, when it was incepted in Europe, by the way, Europe is where income tax comes from.
Of course.
The reason why they incepted the idea of income tax was because they needed a way to expand their tax base. Tariffs and sales taxes weren't covering it. Oh, by the way, fucking, Florida seems to be doing just fine, by the way.
Yeah. Texas.
Oh,
too.
and by the way, no taxes on Social Security and other. You wonder why a bunch of old people retire in fucking Florida. No taxes on Social Security. Because they already got taxed to oblivion by Social Security anyways. Why should they have to pay taxes on that?
All right, they tax you on Social Security as well?
Yeah, it's considered income.
They tax you on the income they taxed you to so that you could retire. Interesting.
Yep.
And then you die,
It's actually
and they tax you on that again. They tax you once more.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, it's bad. Like, and it's really funny because, like, the only thing that Canadians have to argue against, against the U.S. is quote unquote free healthcare, and it's like,
No.
yeah, okay, cool, okay. Let me know how you're feeling after you wait 6 months for treatment and you die.
Agreed. So I've told this story several times, but I don't think I've told it on this podcast, so I'll tell it again. Several years back, like, I don't know, maybe 2016 or so, I suffered an injury on my shoulder, and I suspected it was a rotator cuff tear, but I never really knew for sure. Made a doctor's appointment to see it. They needed to send me to a specialist. Like, I went to see a GP. They told me I needed to see a specialist, or not. Basically, I just needed an ultrasound on my shoulder. So I agreed, and they tried to make the appointment. It took 6 months for one ultrasound. 6 fucking months, and by the time I got it, the shoulder had healed improperly, and they didn't even know what was wrong. Because it didn't healed. So, yeah, free healthcare. Terrible.
Hey, give me a second.
And, alright, and this was before it's supposedly all went to shit. So, I have no idea what it's like now, but apparently it's much worse than it was back then. And then you wonder why MAID is such a thing.
Well, and that's the whole point. That's the whole fucking point.
Like,
that the only thing that Canadians have against the U.S. is free healthcare, and yet your healthcare sucks.
It sucks so
It's
much
like,
now we offer to just kill you. It's like,
yeah.
It's like, your
And
treatment
here's
is
the
too
funny part.
expensive. Have you considered us just letting us kill you?
And here's the funny part. So I'll kind of present some information from my side. So I get taxed on Medicaid, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to pay taxes on Medicaid and Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the problem. I make too much money in order to be able to sign up for Medicaid. I make too much. And yet I'm taxed on it.
Yep.
I can't even use it. I'm not, and mind you, it's too expensive for me to get my own insurance. Because you know how, you want to know what it would on average cost me here in the state of Ohio for basic health care? About $12,000 a year.
Damn.
Just about. If I go through my company, it's less. But here's the problem: I still don't make enough that I can't pay for health care and then also or health insurance and then also pay for all the other shit that I need. So right now I can't do shit. Now here's the fun part: because me and my girlfriend are not married, she can get on Medicaid because she doesn't have an income. So she can get on Medicaid. She has the ability to do what she needs to do. And overall, everything's good.
Well,
but then...
how this...
hold on, Stoner. Hold on, Stoner. But then here's the problem with Medicaid. Because right now, my girlfriend we need to find a dentist for my girlfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem is that there are so many people on Medicaid because you're incentivized to make less money to get on Medicaid. The problem is there's so many people on Medicaid that what dental offices, and dental offices are particular about this, they will get too many patients, and so they'll stop accepting Medicaid until they finally have openings, and then they'll start accepting Medicaid again. The problem being is that you go onto Medicaid's you'll have the different companies involved with Medicaid. So let's take United, for example, United Healthcare. You'll go on United Healthcare's website. You'll look up a dentist. You'll see, hey, they accept my insurance. You'll call them up and you're like, hey, just to confirm, do you guys accept this insurance? Oh, we stopped accepting that 6 months ago. But they're still on the web on, United Healthcare's website is accepting their insurance. So, yeah, the U.S. has a problem, but clearly it's at least somewhat better than Canada's.
Yeah. They've not yet got to the point down in the U.S. where they just suggest killing you.
Yeah. Because at least the people that need Medicaid, like my girlfriend, for example, she can get it and she can actually use it for the most part. We're still hunting for a dentist, but at least she can use it. Whereas people up in Canada, yeah, guess what? Okay, we'll see you in 6 months. Oh, by the way, if you die beforehand, sorry.
Yeah. and again, it was 6 months. This was like 10 years ago when the standards, from what I have heard, have dropped dramatically since then. So it's probably like 2 years now. There's a reason why for the past half decade I've only ever gone to private doctors here, because I actually want to get seen. I'd rather pay the money and actually get seen by the doctor than not pay it and not. But so if you married your girlfriend, didn't she be ineligible for the Medicaid because it would then be like household income?
Yes, unfortunately.
But wouldn't that also, if she's not working, raise both? Would you make enough money for head of household to qualify for it? Because doesn't it go up when you're no longer single?
Nope.
Oh, really?
Nope.
It doesn't go up. Or
I
just,
still
it
make
doesn't
much
go up?
money.
Oh, you still.
I still make because here's the problem, because of how it works here in the U.S. and this is hilarious to me, and I fucking hate it, because it goes off gross income, not taxed income, or net income as we call it.
Yes. Why do they go off gross income? Why not go off, the money you actually have, not the money they take from you?
Exactly.
We know we took 22% of your income, but if we didn't, you would have had enough for not qualifying. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah,
so
thanks.
right now. Oh, and by the way, I just want to point. So I'm not high enough to hit that 22% bracket.
Oh.
I'm sitting in the 12% bracket. My overall tax rate is like 16.5, 17, something like that. So, by the way, I'm still paying less taxes than the average Canadian.
Of course.
I'm an overall healthy individual, and I don't tend to conduct myself in a way that I would get injured easily. So I really don't need health coverage. I really don't. Honestly speaking, it's a secondary concern of mine.
Yeah.
But the point is that the reverse incentives are there to me finding a shittier job. Like if I was single, say if I was single, I would be I am incentivized to find a shitty job, not worry about fucking, buying shit. I should buy a Sprinter van. I should live in a van down by the river and just collect on all the fucking benefits.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, I get increased benefits because I'm homeless.
Can you
Yeah.
claim to be homeless if you have what is a Sprinter van?
Oh, it's a cargo van.
Oh, so would you still be homeless if you had an RV, or is it is that your
Yeah,
friend?
it's not considered a permanent domicile.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, no, and that's the hilarious part about it. That is the hilarious part about this whole situation. Now, mind you, the tax cuts that they're talking about, overall, I would save probably about $1,000 a year in taxes.
Not
Which
bad.
okay, cool, good start.
Yeah.
Now, if they get the full breadth of the tax cuts by 2026 that they want to get put into place, I'll save probably about $2,000. Okay, pretty good. If income tax goes away, I save $6,000, $7,000, $8,000.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I've got an extra $6,000 or $8,000, first off, at that point in time, I've got nothing to worry about. I can continue living frugally like I am, anyways, because I'm on an austerity budget as is, because I have a bunch of fucking debt I gotta handle. But I'd be able to get the debt paid off. Oh wait, I get all the debt paid off. I can be more productive because I would actually be able to buy things. I would actually be able to participate in the economy on the scale that they want me to participate in the economy.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is because we're in a catch-22. Oh, if we don't have income tax, people aren't buying stuff, so we lose money. But if people aren't buying stuff, we're losing money still. So what do? It's fucking insane. It's like, yeah, you got to eat the net negative for a couple years until people are actually able to get back on their feet.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm not buying a new car ever again, by the way. The only time I will buy a new car is when I go buy a car for my girlfriend. And when that finally happens, by that point in time, I should be close to, if not already have paid off my car. But until I kill my car, I'm never buying a new car. Because it's like, no, I don't have
cars.
Huh?
You'll stick to getting used cars, you mean?
No. No, I will never buy a used car ever again, because fuck that.
Fair enough.
I hate. The problem is that used cars, because of different problems, like for example, the first car I ever bought was used. I only paid $2,000 for it, so whatever. It was a decent car. The problem was that it was from Florida, and so coming up here to Ohio, it started having problems after a little bit. But the point is at the end of the fucking day, it's like, I'm not going to be buying a new car because I'm not going to have the extra money to be able to put fucking payments on it rigorously. So I'm not going to be participating in the economy in that way. At this point in time, the only thing I'm concerned about is buying baby stuff and buying food. I'm not participating in the economy. And yet,
Hey Mike.
okay,
Shut up.
we were recording. I love you, but fuck you. Fucking shit. Holy shit.
Alright. Gotta bleep another
Sorry. But no, that's the thing, is at the end of the day, we're talking about a very, very distinct issue here in the U.S. that the rest of the world isn't suffering from, because y'all are in controlled environments. We don't like being in controlled environments here in the U.S. We don't like welfare states. Y'all love your welfare states, apparently. And we're like, okay, cool. How are you going to fund that after the U.S. stops funding you?
Indeed.
But no, that's the end result at the end of the day. Is I don't care what anybody says. Fucking get rid of income tax. And this isn't even a libertarian position at this point in time. This is, you're taxing people to death, and people aren't able to maintain any sense of fucking normalcy in their lives because they have to worry about paying $8,000, $9,000 worth of fucking taxes every year. Mm-hmm. Actually, hold on. Let me grok this for you.
All right. While you were doing that, it sounded like there was something you wanted to say earlier, Stoner.
Yeah, there was. It was about the insurance stuff. I know being as that my insurance is so friggin' shitty, me and Rowan is actually kicking around the idea of us getting married just so I can get on her better insurance.
That would probably be... Oh, I mean, I'm all for marriage, especially because it generally comes with tax... it generally comes with less taxes. So I would say yes, you should. Think of the
And
taxes.
plus Rowan would finally get me tied down.
Indeed. Yeah, fun fact, back when I was single, every year when I'd be working, I'd be getting, when I got my tax returns back, it'd be like, oh yeah, I got $200 back. Ever since I've been married, it's been like, oh, here's $6,000 back. So yes, I highly recommend it. If for no other reason than just the tax breaks. But also other reasons too, but also the tax breaks.
Okay, so my estimated federal income tax is give or take about $4,000. So not as high, but if you took all the other taxes into account, and this is a big fucking thing, again. Hold on. So, my overall taxes, per year are around $7,500.
Is that including state taxes as well, or just federal?
Yeah, that includes all taxes. Which, again, most people would be like, oh, that's great, that's awesome. Problem, when you take into consideration you're paying, me, I'm paying rent, so my rent payment is always going to be fucking higher than, it's actually really fucking ironic when I started running the numbers. Bro, the amount of money that my fucking landlord is making and the fact that this bitch is hard up over $50 fucking dollars for fucking pets is fucking insane to me. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, there's no feasible fucking way that you can justify $50 a month for a fucking dog.
Yeah.
At all. It's like, I swear to you, you are fine. You fucking... Oh my God.
Charging someone extra rent per month for having a pet, that is one action that someone can take that immediately tells me the shape and size of their nose.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, shit, you're an asshole. And no. Unfortunately, you would be incorrect in this situation, but good try. But no, it's just insane to me because, like, for example, if I was to get a house, something modest, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, et cetera, something modest. My house payment would probably be somewhere around, $500-$600.
Not bad.
And then on top of that, my property taxes probably be around like $1,000, maybe 1,400, 1,500, somewhere in that range. So it's like, okay, the amount of money saved over the course of a year is fucking insane.
Yeah.
But it's just so fucking infuriating. Just so infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's sitting here waiting for the housing bubble to burst, and I'm just like, yeah, waiting.
Yep, it's gonna have to happen at some point. Unless, of course, when it does, the government just decides to reinflate the bubble with more QE.
Oh no!
The last time it burst.
Bro, Jerome Powell is so anti-QE, it's unfucking real.
Yeah.
That's why I love Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell is exactly the kind of guy you want in power. Mm-hmm. He's a pure red-blooded fucking Virginian. And I hope to God when he steps down in 2026 that they fucking replace him with like his best bud. It's like, nah, I just want more of this. Like, dude tells people to close the fucking door on their way out because he's such a baller. Are you done talking? Good. Now get to stepping and close the door on your way out, bitch. But no, it's absolutely insane because again, it's like 7.5. Like let's just run that number. $7,500. How much could the average individual do with $7,500?
Probably quite a bit.
Like for me, on a personal basis, like I don't want to have anything to do with Social Security. You know why?
Because it's insolvent?
No, because I could do a better job managing my own money than Social Security.
True.
Because how does Social Security make its money, other than through the direct taxation of people's labor?
How?
Government bonds.
Really?
Well, here's the problem. When they put that shit into T-bills, okay, fine, cool. T-bills can be part of your portfolio. But if it's your entire portfolio, that's a fucking problem.
Yeah, it's going to be a very slowly growing portfolio.
And the point is, like when I go to put my portfolio back together, I've been in contact with a guy, and he kind of gave me a rundown of what he wants me to do. Mm-hmm. So 10% of my portfolio is going to be in T-bills. 50% of it's going to be in stocks, and then the other 40% is going to be in other ancillary shit. And the whole point is that, you know, and out of that other 40%, it's going to like 10% of it into gold, and then 30% into other stuff like investment properties or whatever the fuck.
Right.
That was about the ratio he gave me, and I'm like, okay, cool. And 10% in T-bills is not a bad option, especially if you're talking about the fucking Federal Reserve or the U.S. Treasury. My bad. Mm-hmm. But if you've got more than 20, 30, 40% of your shit in T-bills, let alone the majority of it, that's a problem.
Yeah, they really need to privatize Social Security. Just put it in a fucking mutual fund and leave it there.
I don't trust. There's not a single yeah, no. I don't like that idea either. Just let me handle it, because I'm like, no, I don't trust. Like BlackRock only exists because they manage so much money. Like if they didn't manage all that money, they have like $34 million in assets. That's it.
Yeah.
The vast majority of their money is tied up in fucking in the money that they manage. Like I don't want BlackRock. I don't want a BlackRock type of situation with Social Security. Fuck that. I'd rather just manage my own money. Because here's the thing. So starting at the age of 18 and going until the age of 67, if you invest $2,808 a year, which is
not that much money per month.
Well,
like,
yeah,
what,
that's
$200?
the whole point.
Yeah.
No, that's actually about what I pay into Social Security
Mm-hmm.
a year. So $2,808 a month or a year from the age of 18 to 65 or 67, because 67 is my official retirement age.
Mm-hmm.
You will end up with about
700-800K, I think, if I had to guess.
no, it's around 560 something, 560,000 or 550,000, somewhere in that region. And then you start withdrawing from that account 60K a year.
Yeah.
Now, married, filed jointly, you will yield a 12% tax rate on that under current rules.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll still be and if you got all your stuff handled and all the stuff paid for and you're just, sustaining yourself, it's a fucking amazing amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually more than what you would get from Social Security to begin with.
Way more.
Way more. And then you go ahead and you just run off that until you're 80. Because the average lifespan in the U.S. is 77 and a half years. So until you're 80, the account, by the time you get to that point, will be around at 180 something by the time you get to the age of 80.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you last past the age of 80, then okay, you're kind of in trouble, but you can also decrease the withdrawal you're making and just downsize the amount of money you're taking in every year. So you could alter things to fit your overall needs.
Yeah.
But the point is that.
But also, if you have, say, 550,000, I mean, you wouldn't just be withdrawing. Like, it's not like you'd just be withdrawing. That alone would probably be making between 50 to 60K a year just of interest for you. So you might not even need to withdraw. You might be able to live just on the interest.
So hold on.
Yeah.
I did a whole exercise on this actually, and I will send you the link real quick once I find it.
All right.
And this is gonna take a bit because but I did a whole exercise of it, and it's not. Now, the number that I used, I went on the conservative side, I said 5% for that exercise. I did something a little more on the aggressive side, and I said 7% for this last one. And here it is. Oh, I did it at 10%. My bad. But, so if you want to just post up, I'd say just do like a video slideshow kind of thing of showing this off.
All right.
But at 10%, so. Let me read. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this. Why is it not doing what I... Why is it not doing what I wanted to do? Grok, what are you doing? Hold on, let me see if I can force this to... If I can force this to actually open the thing I wanted to open.
Yeah, I've noticed Grok has been a little flaky here lately.
Yeah, it's being real fucking weird. Hold on. Oh, okay, so okay, I see what it's doing. Okay, so, at 10% annual interest, 2,808, starting from the age of 18 to 65, comes out to, and mind you, this is 10%, so if you can manage these numbers, it's really fucking nice. Basically 10% is like what I consider like premium numbers for the individual. For companies, they can manage higher numbers, but for the individual, 10% is your goal. So if you invest $2,808 every year starting at age 18 with a 10% annual interest rate, you would have approximately $2.398 million at the age of 65. Now, I then asked if I withdrew payments equaling $60,000 a year and the rest continued earning 10% interest, what would I have by the age of 80? And then it comes down to if you withdrew $60,000 annually from the age of 65 to 80, with a remaining balance earning 10% interest compounded annually, you would have approximately $8.11 million at age 80.
Sounds about right.
So, as I eloquently hashtagged in the caption of this post, hashtag in Social Security.
Yeah.
No, the fact of the matter is that if you can manage your money, you can do what you need to do in order to make that money work for you. You as an individual can come out on top in massive fucking ways. Now, at 5%, yes, you're not going to be earning the huge number that you would at 10% because there's a big fucking difference in those numbers. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't, hell, run that exercise at 6%, 7%, 8%, 9%. You'll realize really quickly, like, oh shit, my numbers grow exponentially with every 1%.
Yep.
Like,
most people don't understand compound interest.
Well, but that's the point, is that a lot of people don't understand percentages. They don't understand the idea that, hey, maybe, just maybe, that 3% that you're earning on that versus the 4% you can earn over here, you're going to make a shit ton more money.
Yep.
And it bewilders me to think that there are people out there, like there are legitimate, honest to goodness people out there who believe that Social Security is earning in their favor. It's like, no, it's not. Because at the end of the fucking day, if you really think about it, okay, wait a minute. If I'm paying this amount of money in this, and, you figure out how much could the Social Security be earning every year based off the totals. I should run that. I should run that exercise. I'll have to do that later, where I'll run the exercise to try to figure out how much money Social Security is most likely making per year off the taxes that they're bringing in. You're getting jibbed. You're getting jibbed so fucking hard by Social Security. So yeah, taxes are bad because it causes the government to become lazy. Mm-hmm. And then we end up with fuckheads like fucking Thomas Massey and, Rand Paul, who want to bitch and whine and cry that deficit. Yeah, okay, cool. Fucking. It almost infuriates me to a point, but at the same time, I can't help but laughing. It's like these people pretend to represent us, and then they completely defy our representation. And they wonder why we hate them.
All right. Being that we've now done about 2 hours and 11 minutes, think it's a good idea to end there?
Yeah, we can end there.
All right, sounds good. So long, everyone. That's it for the show for this
Ciao.
week. We'll see you next week.